The production company logo slowly fades in. A shiny metallic emblem appears on the screen. Fortune Star's glowing logo marks the beginning. Red geometric shapes transition across the dark void. Golden Harvest proudly presents the upcoming story. The title crime story boldly stands out. The narrative starts with a completely black screen. A sudden car crash violently shakes the night. A man is roughly grabbed inside the vehicle. The damaged yellow car speeds away incredibly fast. A struggling man is gagged and kidnapped. The masked kidnappers tie their victim very tightly. Their ruthless boss angrily scolds his bumbling gang. The nervous gangsters nervously argue over their plan. Meanwhile, officers work at the busy police station. A tired detective hands in his shiny badge. He signs the logbook before stepping further inside. He sits down for a necessary psychological evaluation. Remembers a chaotic street gunfight breaking out. An innocent hostage tragically falls during the shootout. He desperately tries to drag her to safety. A ruthless criminal fires his gun extremely wildly. Therapist analyzes his deep inner trauma. In his memory, criminals crash their escape van. The weary cop's face shows the heavy toll. He is deeply haunted by the intense violence. He bravely shoots back from behind a car. He frantically runs to find much better cover. Under heavy fire, he hurriedly reloads his weapon. She diagnoses his severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Recalls engaging in close combat with suspects. He carefully aims his gun at the enemies. He slowly advances towards the wrecked escape vehicle. He tragically finds the bloody suspect dead inside. The horrific sight breaks his spirit completely. The therapist strongly advises him to get rest. She shows genuine concern for his mental state. But the stubborn cop entirely refuses to stop. Elsewhere, criminals swear a dark and dangerous oath. They perform a solemn triad gang loyalty ritual. They burn incense and pray for criminal success. A sharp knife is dipped into bloody water. They burn paper oaths to officially seal it. The treacherous vow is finally and totally complete. The detective arrives at the main police headquarters. He casually walks through the busy precinct office. He is thoroughly briefed on a potential kidnapping. His boss explains the wealthy victim's risky situation is suddenly assigned to protect the businessman. The wealthy target talks about his property deals. He expresses deep worrying about being targeted again. The corrupt boss secretly monitors the whole conversation. A mysterious woman waits inside the moving elevator. The businessman aggressively pulls her very close. They share a passionate and highly secret embrace. Their intimate affair continues secretly inside the lift. Roughly pulls her dress down in passion. They clumsily stumble out into the parking garage. They eagerly head towards his luxury sports car. A sudden argument erupts between the secret lovers. He angrily pushes her away and completely leaves. She throws a massive tantrum in the garage. The businessman intensely inspects his busy construction site, arrogantly reviews building plans with his managers. The site is entirely filled with hard-working laborers. They proudly overlook the massive, ongoing residential project, keeps a very close watch nearby. A violent riot suddenly breaks out among workers. Angry workers protest and aggressively start fighting. The detective is highly alarmed by the chaos. The mob of furious workers charges forward blindly. A cop draws his gun to stop them. The detective is dangerously pushed around by rioters. He quickly grabs a megaphone to restore order. He desperately shouts for everyone to stop fighting. The angry mob completely surrounds the lone detective. He hopelessly pleads for calm amidst the violence. He tries to negotiate a peaceful worker resolution. He forcibly restrains a furious worker during fighting. The arrogant businessman watches the violent chaos unfold. Detective aggressively confronts the boss directly. He is completely frustrated by the boss's indifference. The workers march in an extremely angry protest. The businessman's wife feels terribly sick in car. The targeted businessman quickly drives his car away. Meanwhile, officers happily celebrate a recent promotion together. Suffers a massive heart attack. She sadly passes out completely in the car. The detective gets an urgent, highly shocking call. Masked kidnappers prepare to ambush the businessman's car, brutally attack the vehicle with heavy tools. A kidnapper forcefully breaks into the trapped vehicle. The panicked husband desperately calls for police help. He is violently tied up by the kidnappers. The detective speeds to the crime scene immediately. The kidnapper drives the hijacked car away fast. The detective instantly calls in the kidnapping emergency. The kidnapper viciously threatens the tied-up husband. The suspect's car flips entirely during the chase. The vehicle crashes violently on the open road. The flipped car violently skids across the pavement. The battered detective struggles out of the wreck. Desperate, he rushes back to the ruined vehicle. He hastily retrieves his mobile phone to report. Bleeding heavily, he urgently calls in the kidnapping. He breathlessly reports the brazen crime to dispatch. Exhausted and injured, the officer catches his breath. Suddenly, another police vehicle speeds past the crash. The car dangerously slides down the slope. The bruised detective aggressively resumes the intense pursuit. Splashes water to stay conscious while driving. Meanwhile, an allied motorcycle officer joins the chase. The desperate criminal recklessly tries to lose them. Both pursuers close in on the fleeing suspects. Tragically, the suspects force the officer to crash. The detective's car narrowly avoids the downed bike. He immediately abandons the chase to help him. Devastated, he tends to his critically injured colleague. He desperately carries the bleeding officer for help. He hijacks a motorcycle to speed toward safety. Police units block roads to clear his path. A massive police escort rushes them downtown fast. The frantic convoy quickly navigates the heavy traffic. They violently storm the hospital lobby for help. Medical staff immediately swarm the critically wounded man. Grim-faced doctors quickly assess the severe trauma. The blood-soaked detective frantically begs the surgical team. They rapidly wheel the dying officer into surgery. Another doctor carefully examines the detective's deep wounds, aggressively refuses treatment, demanding his partner's status. Doctor reprimands his incredibly reckless behavior. With the reprimand, he remains stubbornly on edge. Heart-wrenching wails echo through the hospital hallway. The stunned detective realizes his colleague is dead. He utterly breaks down upon hearing the confirmation. Crushed by guilt, he silently mourns his friend. Elsewhere, the kidnappers arrive at a foggy dock. They ruthlessly drag the blindfolded woman outside now. The cruel thugs terrify her with sparking cables. Their isolated hideout makes a rescue nearly impossible. Cold-blooded criminals finalize their deadly ransom demands. Destroy evidence. They push the car overboard. Back at headquarters, the detective leads the briefing. He meticulously maps out the suspect's escape route. The massive police task force listens in silence. He passionately vows to catch the ruthless killers. He reveals the staggering 60 million ransom demand. He outlines a strict plan to trace them. Strike teams aggressively breach suspected criminal safe houses. Commander coordinates the massive citywide raid effort. The highly motivated officers deploy immediately across town, frantically work the phone seeking fresh leads. Senior officers quietly debate their next tactical move. A veteran investigator brings in a crucial contact. He warmly welcomes the specialist to the force. Meanwhile, the kidnappers navigate a dark smuggling boat. Captain nervously checks the quiet surrounding waters. The cornered kidnappers realize police marine units approach. Desperate, the suspects hide freezing in the water. Armed marine police carefully sweep the dark boat. They swiftly secure the deck, hunting for suspects. The criminals barely avoid detection in the dark. Elsewhere, the victim's wealthy wife anxiously awaits news, tearfully flips through photos of her husband. The agonizing wait slowly breaks her emotional resolve. Suddenly, the detective arrives with a secure phone. The terrified wife receives the kidnapper's ransom call. He carefully monitors the call for geographical clues. He instantly radios his surveillance teams to deploy. Undercover units establish positions overlooking the target bank. Center officially triggers the sting operation. TAC officers meticulously record every incoming suspect call. Drives toward the designated drop. The hidden surveillance team watches her every move. Plainclothes officers scramble to follow her changing route. A massive swarm of undercover agents floods downtown. TAC units furiously trace the kidnapper's incoming signal. Binoculars, they spot her nearing the bank. Inside the bank, she nervously initiates the transfer. Headquarters watches the massive ransom funds hit accounts. Having paid the ransom, she nervously walks outside. The kidnappers immediately call her with new instructions. Disguised officers rush into position to spring traps. Lead detective quietly blends into the crowd. Meanwhile, cyber units track money across international borders. Wife continues following the kidnapper's orders. The commander coordinates with mainland authorities to freeze. A hidden tactical VIN team watches the plaza. Inside the van, the detective readies the team. Video surveillance locks onto the wife's exact position. Operation Commander sweats as the trap closes. TAC officers pinpoint the criminal's offshore bank transfers. He aggressively barks orders to shut the network. The desperate wife begs the kidnappers for proof. The furious commander refuses to let suspects escape. Cyber team successfully locks the banking network. The tense commander waits for the final trace. Hearing the trace succeed, the detective strikes now. He quickly abandons his post to intercept criminals. The panicked wife collapses, fearing her husband dead. The furious wife begs to save her husband at any cost. Detective approaches her and firmly stops the money transfer. Looks at the officers while waiting for the next call. She stares intensely, feeling desperate and helpless about the situation. Gripping her hands in total despair, commander orders his unit to continue the surveillance. The suspect runs through traffic to evade the police chase. He hurries to make a call to his accomplices. The wife cries heavily, terrified that they cannot save him. The detectives realize they must contact foreign authorities for extradition. Prepares to travel, hoping for international cooperation. Worried colleague on the flight to Taiwan. They review the suspect's profile to plan their capture strategy. Older detective complains about the uncooperative local authorities, that his past experience fighting dangerous criminals. Fiercely asserts that he sold his youth to the force. He angrily yells at his colleague, causing a scene on board. Flight attendant tries to calm his growing temper. He loses his balance during sudden turbulence, falling clumsily. To get up, embarrassed by the sudden fall. Arriving in Taiwan, they are greeted by local police officers. The police chief directs them to their patrol cars. The local chief coordinates the search operation via his radio. Jump into the police cars to follow the lead. The patrol cars speed down the empty highway towards the hotel. Arriving at the hotel, they quickly prepare to unpack. They enter the hotel lobby to check into their room. Ignoring orders, the detective jumps into a taxi to investigate. Stealthily monitors the suspect's hideout from a distance. Heavily armed tactical team prepares for a raid. Inside the hideout, criminals rapidly count massive stacks of cash. Waits outside the steel gate in silence. The gang leader excitedly celebrates their successful heist with his men. They secure the perimeter to block all escape routes. Criminals continue discussing their shares of the stolen money. One gangster nervously looks out through the window blinds. The police quietly rig explosives to breach the hideout walls. Drill holes to plant hooks and pulling chains securely. Officers step back and take cover behind their riot shields. Criminals frantically stash their cash as panic sets in. Desperately stuff money into bags to make a quick escape. Fierce gunfight breaks out between the police and criminals. The explosive charges detonate, blowing a huge hole in the wall. Exchange heavy gunfire in the narrow stairwell. Criminals flee into the crowded night market below. Gunfire erupts in the market, causing civilians to run screaming. Climbs higher up the building to escape the raid. He frantically climbs a ladder towards the dark rooftop. The police pursue him across the dangerous, unstable scaffolding. Escapes further up, evading the closing police. Explosion rocks the rooftop as the detective takes cover. Detective fires back as sparks fly across the chaotic roof. Cautiously moves forward amidst the heavy smoke and debris. Another massive blast obliterates a nearby neon sign completely. Clings to the scaffolding as the floor collapses. Climbs down carefully to continue his pursuit of the suspects. Leaders run through the makeshift rooftop structures. A festival below continues, unaware of the deadly chase above. Jumps down to a lower rooftop to follow them. He confronts a gangster holding a long blade on the planks. He falls backward into the empty theater below, crashing hard. Hang on to the swaying bamboo beams. His colleague arrives and spots him hanging dangerously above. Loses his grip and plummets toward the canvas below. He clings to his colleague, trying to pull himself up. Both men crash onto the theater seats in a pile of money. Swings back up to the scaffolding to resume the fight. The gangster attacks, but the detective deftly dodges the blows. Quickly climbs higher up the bamboo poles to gain ground. The older criminal swings a weapon at him violently. The detective struggles to hold on while defending himself. Kicks his opponent through the glowing green safety netting. Both men crash through the net, falling toward the floor. His colleague tries to stop him from doing something reckless. He ignores the warning, determined to catch the escaping leader. Swings on a pipe to close the distance quickly. The two men fall heavily through the ceiling onto the stage. His colleague looks down from the hole, exhausted and shocked. Is heavily, realizing the immense danger they faced. Officers finally arrive to help the battered detectives. At the station, the detective faces severe reprimands. The police chief fiercely berates them for their rogue actions. Detective stands humiliated, stripped down to his underwear. Colleague quietly signs a formal apology document. Foreign affairs officer hands them their release papers. The detective sits in silent frustration, feeling defeated, angrily at the smug official mocking their failure. failure. The official taunts him, asserting their lack of jurisdiction. His colleague calls headquarters to report their disastrous mission. The detectives fly back home, feeling completely exhausted. Share a drink, reflecting on the failed operation. Their partner sighs, trying to swallow the bitter defeat. Headquarters. They walk through the busy office. He visits the hospital, checking on a critically injured officer. Quietly by the bed, filled with deep regret. The victim's family sleeps exhaustedly beside the hospital bed, holds the injured man's hand in silent solidarity. Back at his desk, he reviews the criminal's extensive file, stares at the screen, determined to find another lead. Superior escorts him through the large, bustling department. However, the corrupt officer continues his shady dealings, angrily demands information from his dubious contacts. While our hero investigates a suspicious computer file, he is greatly alarmed by missing data. They realize a critical piece of evidence vanished. He quickly jots down a vital numeric clue. He urgently calls a contact for more information. The mysterious code points to a larger conspiracy. He soon confronts a suspect in a hideout. The tense interrogation yields only defiant, vague answers. Realize the kidnappers are highly organized professionals. Gang decides they must trace ransom money. A brand new lead points to a specific ship. He bravely infiltrates the dark, dangerous vessel alone. He spots the captive victim secured. He silently prepares a daring rescue from above. Elsewhere, a glamorous associate receives a crucial message. He enlists her help to find the leader. They head to a nightclub hiding criminal activity. She subtly gathers vital intel from local girls. He stays watchful as she uncovers new secrets. Suddenly, the corrupt officer arrives with his thugs. They quickly devise a risky plan to trick him. Their fake argument successfully distracts the suspicious men. Gives her a device to record everything. She must now approach the highly dangerous target. She courageously steps into the lion's den alone. The hostile man demands her true hidden intentions. She plays her part perfectly, showing zero fear. He reveals damning evidence of her suspected betrayal. Realizing the danger, she attempts a quick escape, but she uses charm to lower his guard. Meanwhile, a fierce brawl erupts right outside the room, struggles against the overwhelming number of thugs. The corrupt official finally faces our battered hero. She manages to relay the vital information gathered. The new intel reveals the villain's secret weakness. Cut back to the victim, still suffering terribly. The kidnappers continue their cruel, merciless interrogation methods, begs for his life in pure agony. Our hero tracks down another key syndicate member. He intercepts a crucial package containing suspect photos. Armed with new faces, he plans his next strike. He finally spots one target inside a crowded terminal. They swiftly apprehend the suspect before he escapes. A violent struggle ensues as the man violently resists. They successfully secure the violent criminal for further questioning. Aggressive suspect causes total chaos inside the precinct. Officers struggle to subdue the wild, violent man. Finally manage to restrain him to a machine. He mocks them, confident he will be released soon. His arrogant attitude deeply frustrates the investigating honest detectives. Decide to try a different, rougher approach. A brutal fight breaks out right in the office. He decisively overpowers the arrogant, violent syndicate gang member. Papers fly during the intense brawl. He uses incredible agility to gain the upper hand. The suspect is finally battered into total physical submission. The bloody criminal is hauled away permanently now. He demands the suspect sign a full confession. Suddenly, the corrupt officer intervenes to forcefully silence him. Lily threatens the man to forcefully keep quiet. Our hero fiercely protests this blatant abuse of power. The intimidated criminal realizes he is truly permanently trapped. She'll asserts his dominance over the room. He leaves, confident his dirty secret remains perfectly safe. Cops regroup, deeply frustrated by corrupted systems. A massive, coordinated raid on the ship. Aerial backup arrives to support the highly dangerous assault. Signal flare marks the intense siege's beginning. The armed task force swiftly swarms the massive vessel. Shockingly, the corrupt official is already on the scene. Hero cautiously explores the dark, cavernous cargo hold, carefully for any sign of the hostage. Above, the corrupt official tries to control the investigation. He discovers fresh evidence of recent human presence. Vital clue confirms the victim was held here. He presses deeper into the ship's dangerous, rusted bowels. Pretty cop realizes his elaborate cover-up is crumbling. Nervously sneaks below to hide the remaining evidence. He constantly checks his back, fearful of being caught. He navigates the treacherous pipes to complete his betrayal. He finally locates the explosive device secretly planted earlier to arm the deadly trap completely. But he accidentally locks himself inside the rig zone. Our hero appears, cornering the treacherous, entirely corrupt man. Tries to talk his way out. He offers a massive bribe in exchange for freedom. But the honest cop absolutely refuses to be bought. Suddenly, the unstable structure beneath him gives way completely. Expertly slides down a massive, slippery metal chute. The villain is dragged into the dangerous fall. Our hero struggles to survive the chaotic, metallic avalanche. He manages to grab a swinging, heavy chain. The entire boiler room section violently crumbles into ruin, painfully crushed beneath the heavy, falling metal. He lies wounded, trapped in the dark, suffocating wreckage. Villain recovers and prepares to execute our hero. But Jackie launches a desperate surprise attack from above. Finally defeats the villain, but collapses from exhaustion. He slowly wakes up inside the flooded wreckage. He struggles to free himself from the chains. He crawls toward a narrow, dark escape route. The police frantically search for him above water. He enters a small, dark metal tube slowly. He manages to reach a sealed metal compartment. He looks through the glass for a way out. He desperately tries to unlock the heavy door. He realizes the freezing water level is rising. A powerful stream of water suddenly bursts in. The strong water pressure violently pushes him back. The room quickly fills with freezing, dark water. He swims to the surface gasping for air. A rescue team quickly throws him a life buoy. A police helicopter safely approaches the chaotic scene. The wealthy lady waits anxiously for any news. A corrupt detective reassures her with false promises. The police station remains completely unaware of this. Our hero arrives safely on the mainland shore. The corrupt detective arrives to intercept him quietly. The police continue their routine, clueless investigation downstairs. Detective secretly makes a phone call. He orders his men to eliminate the hero. He strictly forbids anyone from entering his office. He calls his boss to report the situation. The hero quickly runs to his parked car. He quickly changes into dry, civilian clothes outside. Makes an urgent call to the police. He finds some discarded receipts in the car. He carefully examines the crumpled pieces of paper. He pieces together a hidden clue from them. He quickly arrives at a busy city street. He enters a crowded newspaper distribution center silently. Spots a suspicious building across the street. He quietly hides in a dark storage room. A delivery man brings in a new stack. He secretly observes the man through a gap. He waits patiently for the right moment inside. He casually picks up a newspaper to blend. He buys some food while observing the area. He discovers a hidden gambling den inside there. He cautiously looks around the suspicious, busy place. He slowly makes his way into the restaurant. He observes the busy kitchen area very closely. He calls the station to report his location. He realizes he has been completely surrounded suddenly. The gang members violently ambush him without warning. He grabs a shovel to defend himself bravely. He's overpowered and thrown to the ground. He takes a brutal hit from a gang thug. He desperately dodges a dangerously flying metal table. He engages in a fierce, chaotic, bloody brawl. He smashes a thug against a glass counter. He sends another thug crashing into a fridge. Another enemy falls hard to the broken floor. A massive explosion suddenly rocks the entire building. He narrowly escapes the devastating, fiery blast area. The explosion blows him down the stairs. He quickly grabs a gun from a fallen enemy. He fiercely aims his weapon at remaining thugs. The building is instantly engulfed in roaring flames. A frightened child cries helplessly inside the room. He desperately searches for survivors in the smoke. The firefighters and police finally arrive outside quickly. Cautiously moves through the fiercely burning hallway. The panicked residents violently rush to escape the fire. A distraught mother screams for her missing child. The police struggle to hold back the chaotic crowd. He enters a dangerous room filled with gas. He cautiously approaches a locked metal cage area. The fire rapidly consumes the entire crumbling building. Spots the corrupt detective trapped inside hopelessly. The detective aggressively shoots a lock in desperation. He prepares to strike the villain with an axe. He boldly aims his gun directly at the detective. The terrified villain suddenly begs for his life. He furiously punches the corrupt villain in the face. He angrily demands the ultimate truth about the kidnapping. He violently grabs the villain by the bloody collar. He bravely forces the defeated villain to confess. He stands victoriously over the pathetic, beaten man. Aggressively yells at the villain one last time. He silently looks at the traitor with absolute disgust. The corrupt detective finally realizes his life is over. He suddenly spots the crying child in the smoke. He quickly leaves the villain and rushes over. He checks the window for a safe escape route. He carefully grabs a blanket to protect the boy. The villain desperately tries to escape the roaring flames. The villain selfishly tries to violently block the exit. He successfully carries the small child out of fire. He gently comforts the terrified boy in his arms. He leaves the corrupt villain to his fiery fate. The corrupt detective loudly screams for help in vain. He coldly ignores the desperate pleas of the dying traitor. Villain realizes no one is coming to save him. The intense flames completely engulf the corrupt detective. Villain violently suffers a painful, agonizing fiery death. Is out of the crumbling building with child. He finally reaches the safety of the busy street. He watches the chaotic scene unfold helplessly. Meanwhile, panic erupts on a smuggler's boat nearby. Criminals desperately try to escape by sea. However, a military patrol boat quickly intercepts them. The smugglers are forced to surrender quietly. Later, officials transport the rescued hostage at night. A vehicle arrives at the tense border crossing. The detective steps out, ready for the exchange. A military jeep arrives carrying the traumatized victim. Officers carefully escort the hostage from the vehicle. The victim's wife waits anxiously for his return. She finally sees her husband safe but shaken. They emotionally reunite after the terrifying kidnapping ordeal. Silently observes the touching family reunion. He feels a quiet sense of duty fulfilled. The family finally leaves the dangerous border behind. They discuss escaping the trauma and starting anew. The detective stands alone on the dark bridge. She expresses her deep gratitude for his help. She hurries back to join her safe husband. He burns his undercover identity, ending the mission. The burning evidence falls into the dark water. The text confirms the hostage safely left forever. The authorities keep the full investigation details classified. Plex case remains a closely guarded secret. Many officers bravely sacrificed everything for the rescue. Film concludes its intense, dramatic crime story. Credits honor those involved in the case. The production team is acknowledged for their work. The cast and crew are recognized for efforts. The credits list the many contributors to film. The final credits roll as the story ends. Various sponsors are acknowledged for supporting the film. The long list of corporate supporters is shown. The final acknowledgements conclude the dramatic movie experience. Screen fades to black, ending the film. The copyright notice marks the very final frame.